what comes into play is the psychological warfare, because Duran's looked upon as being a guy who is nasty, who is intimidating. He would punch you in the face at a press conference. He would kick you at a weigh-in. He would curse you out. He would curse your wife out. He got to my head. When he got into my head.
With Ray, I was so mad I wanted to fight him right then and there at each of these press conferences.
He challenged my manhood. He challenged my manhood.
Curse words. Anything to have him come straight at me so that I could knock him out. You son of a... Your mother's a...
Yo, this is King of the Ring Boxing, and you are now watching how the story unfolded, covering the first installment in the 3-fight saga between Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard, dubbed the Brawl in Montreal, first started gaining traction when Leonard first beat Wilfred Benitez for the WBC welterweight title. Benitez himself, who was a legend of the sport, was a massive victory on the record of Sugar Ray. He then went on to defend this belt against Britain's David Green. Both fights ended in stoppages, and many were predicting that Ray Leonard would go on to be a future Hall of Famer and possibly stay undefeated for the rest of his career, just like Rocky Marciano. This would be significant in the Duran-Leonard saga, as up until this point, Duran had achieved a lot more in his career than Sugar Ray. But it felt like he was getting half the amount of appreciation, so this did not sit right with him, and this would be pivotal in the fight that was yet to come.
Third fight against Ali, he didn't fight the full 3 minutes. To him. 15th and final round. Benitez on his toes, trying to show movement, but Benitez caught with a left. And immediately the flow of blood again from the forehead, and Leonard starts to open up. And it's Benitez, whose head went down into the other fighter's shoulder, and who held on. 15th and final round. "45 seconds into it. That chopping right of Leonard's did not score well there. It has, though, throughout the fight, on a number of occasions. Benitez trying the counterpunch, fight back, but trying to, that's only the first time he threw an uppercut that I thought we'd see much more of throughout the fight. Benitez trying to come on now. Benitez scoring. And Benitez with a good left. Earlier it's caught Leonard with a right. And Leonard felt it. We're down to the minute 20 area remaining in the fight. Two great young professional fighters. Masters of their craft. Look at them going at it. Standing toe to toe. Leonard trying to chop Benitez down. Benitez's face frowning in pain. Leonard going after him. Yes, he can go 15 rounds. He sure has proved it today. Unless, by a miracle, he gets knocked out. And yes, Benitez can go 15 rounds. And there's got to be a winner. There's got to be a loser. But these young men are fighters. Look at it, rubbery leg, wobbly, looking at the crowd, showing the mouthpiece. All right, let him do it. It doesn't dilute the courage he's shown or the skills he's shown. Maybe now they won't call Sugar Ray Leonard a hype. There it is. He stopped the fight. He stopped the fight, and there is a new world welterweight champion. He comes from...
In contrast, Duran started his career 9 years before Leonard's debut, with the majority of his first 28 fights being in Panama City before he started flying out to New York for his bouts. His first fight of significance was against Scotland's Ken Buchanan for the WBA World Lightweight title. Duran had a chip on his shoulder going into this fight, as Buchanan had beaten one of his childhood heroes in Ismael Laguna in a split decision win, and then later a unanimous decision win in the rematch. Duran and Buchanan ended up facing off, with Roberto comfortable throughout. However, in the 13th round, a low blow from Duran put Buchanan on the floor, which the referee missed, ending the fight in a stoppage win for the Panamanian.
Ken Buchanan, 13º round.
Round 13. Duran trying for that knockout. And speaking about knockouts, I would guess that's what Buchanan would need to win this fight. I've got him behind.
Molto determinato Duran all'inizio di questa 13ª ripresa.
I think it would make a great rematch. Those jabs by Buchanan aren't quite
Gancio sinistro di Duran. Duran ha capito che è in grado di incassare con facilità i colpi dell'avversario, quindi può anche prendere qualche rischio.
Ken Buchanan, as the referee tells Duran to keep his punches up.
Sinistro, destro, investito ora Buchanan dai colpi di Duran.
There was a flash knockdown. Buchanan went down briefly in the first round. Half the round over.
Destro di Duran. Destro e sinistro.
Buchanan tired, no question about it. A minute to go in the round.
Insomma, Buchanan non vuol saperne di cedere. Col pubblico che scandisce il nome di Duran. Buchanan si permette anche un buon gancio sinistro.
The challenger has tremendous vitality and stamina.
Col destro Duran.
And now I think Buchanan's getting by on nerve alone.
Ancora il destro di Duran. Finisce quasi fuori dalle corde Buchanan.
No knockdown there. 10 seconds to go in the round.
La reazione coraggiosissima di Buchanan, ma poi il destro terribile di Duran. E arriva il gong. Mentre Buchanan si accascia al tappeto, dando l'impressione di essere stato colpito basso. Ma francamente nella serie di colpi portati a segno da Duran è possibile che qualcuno sia finito sotto la cintura.
There was a flurry of punches at the bell, and all of a sudden,
a un certo punto c'è l'annuncio dall'angolo di Buchanan.
Gil Clancy is talking to the referee, Johnny Lobianco.
Gil Clancy, che è all'angolo di Buchanan.
The referee may be stopping
Gil
the
Clancy è
fight,
stato anche il manager di Emil Griffith.
The warning whistle has sounded.
Fa segno che il pugile non è in grado di continuare. C'è Buchanan che parla con l'arbitro.
The fight has been stopped.
Gli viene alzato il braccio a Duran, quindi non c'è squalifica per Duran,
Roberto Duran
ma
of Panama.
A few fights after this, Duran was to suffer his first professional loss of his career in Madison Square Gardens to Esteban de Jesus, who was 32-1 at the time of the fight. This was the first time that a fatal flaw in Duran's game was exposed, and it wasn't anything to do with his in-ring ability. Out of the ring, Duran let success get to his head. A true warrior inside the ring, Duran was anything but disciplined with his lifestyle outside of it. He partied hard after his first world title, indulging in booze and women. His team were quick to remind him of this in the dressing room after the defeat, where Duran was found reduced to tears. After this loss, Duran went on a 31 fight winning streak, picking up the WBA belt once again versus Jimmy Robertson, and defending the title 10 more times along the way. Duran was in the form of his life, leading into the highly anticipated fight with then WBC World Lightweight Champion Esteban de Jesus, which would see the two run back their first fight 6 years later. This time Duran was prepared, remembering that for the first fight he was overweight, unfit, and doing one too many party drugs after his first title win, which caused him to lose. He didn't make the same mistake this time, punishing De Jesus to a 10th round stoppage, which saw him control the fight from start to finish.
Wow, putting your mind for De Jesus, the likes of Sugar Rama. We have a Panamanian referee, two Panamanian judges. A good quick left by De Jesus that's gone on Duran. And a lift puts Duran down. A quick, short, sharp left puts Duran down. Still Duran smiles. Oh, De Jesus looks tired there, doesn't he? Leaning on Duran's shoulder. Remember, I said Duran is known for his stamina. Oh, he's tired. He is really worn down. He's just shaking his head toward his corner. Duran is directly above it as the mandatory 8-count takes place. All right, the bell for round 11. Resetting the scene again for our late tuners in. Lightweight championship fight coming to you. Oh, good quick right by Duran. Hurts Jesus. Now he's down from the left and to right. Esteban de Jesus is down for the second time in this fight, looking over to his corner first. It's over. It is over. He took the 10 count. Roberto Duran successfully defends his lightweight championship of the world with a knockout in the 11th round.
Right after this fight, Duran went on an 8-fight winning streak before the brawl in Montreal. The narrative surrounding the fight was that was Duran able to carry the power that he carried at lightweight all the way up to welterweight? And if he did Sugar Ray Leonard have the chin to withstand that power? So these were two very interesting questions. And it was a perfect matchup in terms of how the styles were going to gel, because Leonard was a classic sort of slick African-American fighter. You know, he molded himself on Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson, whereas Roberto Duran was a typical sort of, you know, I know Panama is in North America, but like the typical sort of North American, South American, you know, the Spanish, Portuguese speaking style. And yeah, he was, you know, he wasn't your typical brawler, because obviously he had a lot more tools in his arsenal than just coming forward. But the way he'd cut off the ring, his relenting pressure, that's what made him, you know, a very special fighter. So this clash of styles coming into this, it was you already knew before the fight. Well, obviously I wasn't around back then, but if I was, you'd already know before going into the fight that it was going to be an absolute barn burner. You might be wondering that up until this point of the video, why am I talking more about Duran than Leonard? It's simply because that up until this point, Duran's career, he had amassed 71 wins and only 1 loss, whereas Sugar Ray Leonard had only had 29 wins and 0 losses. So Leonard had a much shorter career up until this point, whereas Duran, in modern day standards, has had like 2 careers, maybe even 3, stretching 3 careers, just up until that point. So yeah, there's more sort of backstory on Duran than there was on Leonard coming into this fight. The fight itself, if you looked at it on the surface, Leonard held most of the physical advantages. He was the one comfortable at welterweight. He was comfortable at the weight that they were going to fight at. He had the reach advantage, you know. He had the amateur background where he was the Olympic gold medalist. And, you know, the public loved Leonard. Like, he was a poster boy. He was a pretty boy. He was the one with all the adverts, you know. He had a Pepsi commercial, I believe, leading up to the fight. And, like, everything surrounding that fight, it felt like Leonard had already won. And he was sort of, you know, getting his flowers for a victory that he had not even achieved yet. So that was a very interesting aspect of this. The split of the fight was that Leonard was to get $8 to $10 million going into it, and Duran was to get a $1.5 to $2 million. It shows you how the two were received at the time, and yeah, like obviously it was very skewed towards Leonard. And Leonard and his team had picked Montreal as the venue for the fight, as this is where Leonard had picked up his gold medal, and they felt like by going back to that place, the majority of the crowd would be on their side. It would prove advantageous for Team Leonard. However, Duran ended up going to Montreal a lot sooner than Leonard. In his hometown in Panama, you'd be able to find Duran like mingling amongst like normal people, you know, having a conversation with anyone. He was that type of person. He was sort of like a people's champion. He was very humble. Like, he might not have been humble, you know, on the in the boxing ring or at the press conferences, but away from boxing, he was very humble and he had time for everyone. And the people of Montreal sort of took to this, and it backfired on Leonard, because it ended up being the case that the majority of the public actually supported Duran over Sugar Ray Leonard going into this fight.
People think of him as a mayor, like he's in public office. Once, when I was at his house, there were lines of people asking him for favors, and he was helping everyone. He told me that week alone, he had given away $10,000. He never asked anyone how they would use it. Roberto loves poor people, and being able to help them motivated him, because he suffered a lot when he was young. When he made money, he gave it to those who needed it.
Duran, knowing he was the underdog in this fight, decided to try and get under the skin of Ray Leonard, constantly goading him in the attempt to gain a psychological edge over his opponent. Leonard fell into the trap. Clearly rattled by all this, he kept saying that he would kill Roberto in the ring when it was time to fight. Leonard admitted he had never felt like this before. There had been no one to have this type of effect on him before a fight, and he was bemused. Meanwhile, Duran was relishing the fact that he was the underdog and making the most of that status by implementing tactics to disturb Ray Leonard. You could say that the man that they called Hands of Stone was already a few rounds up before the fight had begun. Lines were crossed, especially after Duran claimed that after he beats Leonard, he was going to sleep with his wife.
Curse words, anything to have him come straight at me so that I could knock him out. You son of a... Your mother's a...
Duran walks around like he owns the world. He wants to intimidate not just fighters. He wants to intimidate people in general. Duran resented the fact that I was the marquee name from a general public standpoint.
At the time, Ray was America's golden boy, and even people in Panama, which kind of hurt me a little bit. Didn't think I could beat him.
He insulted me, my wife, and he got into my head. Roberto Duran he doesn't get credit for it. He's a smart fighter. He's a very cerebral fighter, and he went to an area that I wasn't as sharp as he was, and that was this thing up here. And he taught me so much in those 15 rounds than I've learned throughout my career. I became a better fighter, a much more technical fighter, strategic fighter. And after that fight, I would choreograph my fights. So thanks, Roberto. Yes.
Angelo Dundee, the man who trained Ray Leonard, made sure to let his fighter know that he needs to box smart when it came to this fight. Leonard, however, feeling like his manhood was being questioned, had the fire in his belly. He wanted to stand toe-to-toe with Duran and teach him a lesson. Going into the fight, Duran had a few health complications. It was found that he had an irregular heartbeat. When asked about this, his trainer Ray Arcel joked and said that Duran must have two hearts, testament to the man's grit despite his issues. Joe Frazier, sitting ringside for the fight, was asked who Duran reminded him of. Instead of alluding to another boxer he could have compared him to, he simply responded Charles Manson, which evidences the fear the Panamanian put into people. The fight itself got off to a very quick start, and if you look at it, Leonard stuck to what he thought he was going to do, which was he was going to go toe-to-toe with a man that had been embarrassing him at press conferences. He felt like his manhood was being attacked, so this is what he felt like he needed to do, beat Duran at his own game. But it massively backfired, and Duran was actually the one making Leonard miss. It looked like Duran was the one with the Olympic background, and Leonard was the, sort of cutthroat brawler, because Leonard had actually sort of adopted Duran's style. Well, he hadn't adopted his style, he just wanted to face him toe-to-toe in the middle of the ring. How Duran wanted it, he wanted to give it to Duran how Duran likes to give it, and he wanted to beat him at that style. But as we saw in those first few rounds, it was never going to happen, because Duran in that particular style was very highly skilled, and it's sort of territory that Sugar Ray had never been in before. Duran's head movement and his lateral quickness with his feet was phenomenal, and he looked like he had merged the slick African American style with the marauding, relentless pressure of the South American, Mexican style, and it was absolutely beautiful to watch. And after the fight, Sugar Ray Leonard would actually admit that Duran was a lot better boxer than people would give him credit for. You could make a reductive point and say Duran was the brawler, Leonard was the boxer, but it was much more than that. There was a high level of skill which went into Duran's relenting pressure, which Sugar Ray Leonard found.
The fight will be brought to you by Budweiser for all you. The moment of truth. Remember now, the referee is Carlos Padilla, and those of you who saw him work the Antifermo Minter fight may remember he does not allow fighters to hold on the inside. Coming to Duran, and Duran backing up on him. Faking, he's slowly cutting, you see that? Oh, he took a hard left hook! Leonard is not punching coming in. They could catch each other. Duran goes to the body, but he's fine. The punches were not well landed. Now watch this action as Duran comes in. See, he is wide open coming in, but he is also punching. Now he drives him to the ropes and punches. Now watch Duran. He's Leonard fast hands is something to see. He's almost throwing caution to the wind. Throwing caution to the wind. That could cost him. Oh, he hurt Leonard! He hurt him! He's chasing him to the ropes. Duran with 2 shots. 3. Leonard out. But Duran getting under them. Oh, the right. Leonard fighting back. It's by Leonard. What a fight! It's not Duran. Watch. Left hook got him in trouble. Now watch his legs. Leonard's legs, left hook, a right hand that flushes, and a left hook. At this moment, Duran has him compelled, but he still has those quick hands. And I think he's got him intimidated. He's punching with the intensity that only Roberto Duran can punch with. Why would they want Leonard to take him inside? Leonard in trouble again. Again. Duran ran into...
In my eyes, the only round you can give to Sugar Ray from those first 8 is the 5th. Duran seemingly took the round off, which gave Leonard the space to utilise his legendary hand speed. Finally, it seemed like he was getting back into the fight. However, Duran quickly got back on top. Up until round 8, he was pinning Leonard back, hitting him to the head and the body, power shots landing every time. The way in which the ring was being cut off was masterful. Leonard was like a deer in the headlights. For the first time in his career, he had no answers. For the first 8 rounds of the fight, Leonard spent over 4 minutes on the ropes. His elite foot movement wasn't present to escape Duran's relentless pressure. During his time on the ropes, he absorbed 97 punches, most of which were body shots, taking the wind out of Sugar Ray Leonard.
Catch him off these. Movement is what he needs. Movement. Leonard with a furious assault. But it goes to show you the rope. Oh, a right hand. He hurt Leonard. Out. Duran will never punch himself out. Caved in. And that's going to tell later on in the fight to catch him off those ropes. And unless he does, he's in trouble. Great right uppercut by Leonard. Judger a la Tommy Loughran, but Leonard fighting out of it. He's got Duran hurt. No! Leonard landing. And watch Duran's right hand land flush on the Duran's body. They believe they can get Duran, and Duran is answering back. Look at Ray go to the body. What they thought he would do. Oh, no. He's got Duran hurt. Oh, and Duran fighting. Sugar Ray Leonard at his best. He's trading punch for punch. Oh, Duran. As you see, 2 fighters evenly matched. Watch Sugar Ray come out with everything he's got. Leonard should not be caught there. Exchanges. Leonard's landing some short punches. There they are. Roberto's right hand, but never. Beautiful punch as he came in. Right up and forced him to the ropes to fight his fight. He beat Duran to the punch a little. Up on the top step. Leonard has the back to the ropes again. Fighting up his hand speed. Duran seems to have lost a little of his. But now he opens. Trying to hit him with the left.
With almost all the first half of the fight in the bag, it was Duran's fight to lose. However, after expending all the energy that he did, Duran was visibly becoming slower, and Ray Leonard was gradually able to work his usual style and get a foothold in the fight. In the 9th round though, a cut appeared on the right eye of Ray, as Duran, sensing that Leonard was getting comfortable, decided to box dirty, which caused a clash of heads. This gave Roberto a second wind, and again Duran set a ferocious pace and made Ray Leonard fight his fight once more. he found himself on the ropes again, feeling the pressure of the Panamanian.
Shot of this. Look at the right hand land flush, right on the jaw. Now, if he'd have landed that on a lightweight, he'd have killed the lightweight. You know, of course, they always question Leonard's chin. You think they do now? Not indeed. Not indeed. Not his chin, not his heart, not his head, and not his fighting ability. Sugar Ray Leonard is a sensational champion, but he's got his hands full with Roberto Duran, who has given him all he wants and is on top of him every minute. Duran now is the aggressor. He's not trying to cut him off. He doesn't have to. Leonard is right there in front of him, fighting him flat-footed. Leonard has not danced. He has not shuffled. He has been in the trenches with him. Duran uses that feint with the right hand, draws it back and throws the left hook. Did he cut Leonard? Leonard went to his eye. Did he cut him? No, he put his head in there pretty good. Angelo screaming from the corner. Watch his head. Padilla's got a big lot of trouble to separate these two. Again, Duran off first. Leonard trying to fight off the ropes. He missed with a wild swinging hook and had to pay for it with a thumping body shot by Duran. Duran in a corner again. Again, Duran fighting. He's really pressured him a lot this round, and he hasn't given him a chance to get started. It's Leonard now that goes to the center of the ring. Duran charging with the jab, turns it into a hook, lands it. Now goes with both hands to the body, and Leonard has not done anything this round. Again, backing him up. Now more punches to the body by Duran. There's the ubiquitous referee in between. I don't know what Padilla's doing here. Padilla's interfering far too much in this fight. These two guys are fighting. They don't need a referee. There he goes again. They aren't even at the corner, and he's there.
Over the course of the next few rounds, it was all-out war. Fatigue had set in for both fighters, but as this was a 15-round fight, there was still a lot more to be done and a lot more that could happen before the fight's conclusion. In the 11th round, the fight set ablaze. A supposed low blow from Duran sparked a fire in Leonard, and he bit down on his gum shield and started firing shots. But whatever he was throwing, Duran was coming straight back at him with. It was an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. One of the best rounds of boxing you might ever see, and a round you could easily put down as a draw. Towards the end of the fight, knowing that he was down on the cards, Ray Leonard threw a combination of punches, and again remarkably, Duran was making him miss, mimicking Leonard's style, and making him feel as foolish as he made his opponents feel in the past. In the 15th round, Duran thought he had won the fight. He was taunting Leonard once more, goading him like he did in their press conferences. He was showing off, feinting, bobbing and weaving, embarrassing the golden boy from the Olympics.
Duran, he's trying to get out. Oh, a great shot from Duran. It lands. There's left. Look at that right hand flush. Look at the right hand land flush. Right on the far too much in this fight. These two guys are fighting. They don't need a referee. It's not like Angelo to tell us fight. Good right hand. Oh, they both do. Arcel has the he's taken what you would call command of the fight. But look, you're right. Oh, he hurt Duran with the left hook. Sugar Ray Leonard. I want to tell you, Sugar Ray. Oh, what exchanges! What exchanges by Leonard? Yes, Leonard going and pushing and pulling. Neither one. Duran doesn't look tired at all, and Leonard is punching like he isn't. Wherever a good right hand landed on Duran. A good right hand landed, and now they're both exchanging furious volleys. And without the authority that he had in the other rounds, he slowed down. Oh, Leonard beating the tap. Look at Leonard fight back, and Duran. Listen to this crowd. Look at the way they're going. Leonard coming back with a flurry, and Duran answered and hit him right left hook. Here, Duran showing him the right hand and using the left. Oh, he hurt Leonard. They extend. Sugar, and you will see
see the kind of punch. Look at that shot land. Now comes back with another shot. Look at this shot land. I am telling you, these people are throwing the kind of unless one of two, one of each.
Oh, a left hook! I don't think he's ever gone through one like that. A left hook! Oh, right hand! A right hand by Duran! And a right hand by Duran!
And Sugar Ray exchanging furious punches. Here comes Duran. Leonard taking the punishment as he's coming up. Now Leonard trying to pin Duran to the ropes. They're exchanging. This decides the fight. What a sensational bout. Round 15. Who would have thought of this? This crowd is on their feet in tribute. Even ringside spectators, even the press is up on its feet.
15th round could be the decider. It's close. I don't have to tell you that. Leonard has fought a courageous fight. Not the smartest fight, but a courageous fight. And Duran has been Roberto Duran. He's always there. It's a war.
Sugar Ray Leonard has shown every inch a champion. What a magnificent fighter Sugar Ray Leonard has shown himself to be. And no less Roberto Duran, who has pressured and pushed and mauled and sent him to the ropes time after time after time. They're back to the ropes.
Freddie, no matter who the winner is, it's got to be a rematch.
Oh, I would say so. Here they come again. Roberto looking for that right hand.
He hasn't gotten off. He has not gotten off in the 15th round. He's got to do some punching. Leonard has taken the play away from him so far.
Either the corner thinks they're so far ahead they can win this fight, or I don't know what's happening to him. Because he should be fighting like a madman right now.
Remember, Leonard has never lost a fight. Duran has only lost once. Only once, Esteban de Jesus.
1 minute and 24 seconds to go. Roberto is not pressuring him, and I do not understand why. This fight, this round could cost him the fight if he doesn't pressure him. They're both tired.
I agree with you. I think Leonard's got a little more gas left. He's doing all the punching. Roberto can smile, but he's not punching.
Either that or Roberto is saving himself for the last minute.
Now he's starting to try to spin him around and hit him. He's making Leonard miss. But he's got a punch.
Ah, he's playing with him. He's playing with Sugar Ray Leonard. I don't understand why. He's showing him, here's what defensive fighting looks like.
Marcella's yelling to him to punch. He knows that he needs it. How much time we got?
1 minute.
1 minute. Leonard doing, oh no. It's down to 25 seconds. This one will go all the way. And we're going to have a decision, and then Leonard may have pulled it out with the 15th round. Leonard bombing away, and
Duran apparently feels he's won this fight and doesn't have to fight the 15th round.
There's the clock. 7.
I can't believe it.
6.
I can't believe it.
4. Duran thinks he has won the fight.
I can't believe it.
The bell.
The final bell rang and Duran was already celebrating, and whilst Leonard looked dejected, he still raised his hand, which infuriated Duran. This was an indictment of the fight that they had just had. Whilst Leonard did win a majority of the rounds in the second half of the fight, Duran dominated the first half and picked up enough rounds in the second to have the edge over the American. Ultimately, the judges unanimously decided that the man from Panama was the victor on the night.
I think he thought so. He thinks he's won. I think he thought he won. I think Leonard thinks he won. I mean, Duran thinks he won. Oh, no! See. Now he's yelling at Benitez. Can you see? He's yelling at Benitez. I will take you now. They're right above us.
score in case of a draw. Leonard, they're having trouble. The corners, yeah, the corners are getting after one another. They've got to stop that. They've got to stop it. In case of a draw, Leonard is the winner. Remember that. As Ashton is going on in the corner because of the corner of Leonard, who's looking like they want to fight. Louis Enriquez is getting some of the Panamanian contingent back to the corner. I cannot even begin to get...
146, 146. Leonard, 144, 144.
146, 144 for Duran.
Duran, 147, 147. Leonard, 147, 147.
He called it a draw.
Juge Gibbs. Leonard, 144. Duran, 145. Le nouveau.
Duran. What was the last vote? What was the last vote? I did not hear the last vote. Freddie Pacheco is in the ring.
And it's going to be difficult.
So there we have it, folks. That is how the story unfolded between Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard in their first fight. As always, leave a like, leave a comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel and leave suggestions over what other classic fights would you like me to give the background story on, because I'm really enjoying doing these at the minute. So yeah, as always, it's King of the Ring Boxing. I'm out.